everyone! Welcome to our YouTube channel, Research Ready and Student Matters Hub by Doclin. Ngayon ay magkakaroon na naman tayo ng isang very worthwhile lesson video para sa mga researchers na nanonood sa atin ngayon. Ito yung common problem natin kapag gumagawa tayo ng research instrument or nagkakaroon tayo ng adaptation ng ating research instrument. Kasi hindi pa siya hindi pa natin siya pwedeng gamitin kung hindi siya nag-undergo ng validity at reliability test. Pero ang lesson video na gagawin natin ngayon or i-discuss natin ay tungkol lamang sa validity. Magkakaroon tayo ng separate lesson video para naman sa reliability ng research instrument. So, kailan ba natin siya ginagamit? Ang validation ng research instrument natin, pwede natin gamitin ito kapag tayo mismo yung gumawa ng ating research instrument. So, dapat malaman natin kung yung mga constructs na nilagay ba natin doon, yung content ba na nilagay natin doon, at yung criteria na nilagay natin ay talagang nagsiset at nagpifit doon sa research questions at yung general objectives ng ating study. Ito kasi yung part ng ating data collection methods. At pag sinabi nating validation of research instrument, commonly meron tayong tatlong klase. Ang very common yung content validity. Meron din tayong tinatawag na construct validity. At yung pangatlo is yung criterion validity. So, i-discuss natin siya isa-isa para mas madali nyong maintindihan. Pero lahat lang ito, ma'am, ay ipinapagawa kapag kami po ay gagawa ng research. Depende sa complexity ng inyong research study. So, maaaring sa content validity pa lang ay okay na ang inyong panel members. Maaaring gusto niya ng content validity at the same time ng construct validity or kailangan din ng criterion validity. Pero commonly, kapag ka mga student research, hindi naman halos pinapasama or inaalaw or nire-require ng mga panel members yung criterion validity unless otherwise yun yung hinihingi ng iyong research. For a faculty or scholarly research, ginagamit naman ang criterion validity pati yung construct validity kapag nagkakaroon tayo ng exploratory factor analysis na inaalam natin yung mga constructs na ginamit natin. At ito ay isang uri din ng research dahil ang aim mo ay makagawa ka ng standardized research instrument na pwede rin naman gawin ng iba at maaari mong i-publish ang iyong research paper. So, magsimula na tayo at bago yan, kailangan muna nating i-discuss or i-define ano ba yung tinatawag nating validation ng ating research instrument. So, pag sinabi nating validation, it refers to the process of establishing the accuracy, the meaningfulness, and appropriateness of a survey instrument in measuring the constructs or variables it is intended to measure. So, napakaliwanag ng ating definition pag sinabi nating validation. Dapat mini-measure talaga ng ating instrument kung ano yung dapat niyang i-measure. So, yung content at yung constructs dapat ay tama. Okay, so we're going to discuss the three types of methods for validation. The first type is what we call the content validity. Content validity assesses whether the items in a survey instrument adequately cover the range of content or behavior of interest. So when you said content validity, you are checking the validation or the validity of the content of your research instrument. So commonly, you try to check if the contents are adequate, they are correct, or does it suit a particular research questions you aim to answer. Example, suppose you are developing a survey to measure job satisfaction. And ang gagawin nyo sa content validity, maghahanap kayo ng experts. So this is a job satisfaction, particularly HR professionals or psychology. Sila yung mag-check ng inyong instrument para ma-ensure na ang laman nito ay tungkol talaga sa job satisfaction. Such yung mga construct ba na nilagay nyo, katulad ng work environment, compensation, career development opportunities, ay tama ba at adequate ba yung range of questions na inilagay ninyo. Another example is this one, client satisfaction survey for government services. So gagawa ka ng sarili mong survey instrument. So ulitin natin, nagbabalidate tayo dahil gumawa ka ng sarili mong instrument O kaya naman, ang ginawa mo ay nagkaroon ka ng adaptation ng iyong research instrument. So, itong client satisfaction with government services, meron tong mga aspects katulad ng service delivery, responsiveness, accessibility, effectiveness, at overall experience. Kung ito yung iyong constructs base dun sa iyong survey, magde-develop ka na ngayon ng iyong survey questions. Now, pag sinasabi nating merong content validity, para ma-ensure natin ito, magkikreate tayo ng questions that cover all relevant dimensions of client satisfaction with government services. Example, one of your construct is service delivery. You might ask your respondents, how satisfied are you with the timeliness and efficiency of the service provided? So this is dichotomous. You can answer yes or no. But regardless of how it will be answered, dapat yung content ng iyong survey instrument ay valid because it covers and adequately focuses on what data should be derived out of your research instrument. Second is what we call construct validity. Pag sinabi naman natin construct validity, it examines whether the survey instrument accurately measures the theoretical constructs or concepts it claims to measure. Kaya nga ang constructs na kinukuha natin at nilalagay natin sa ating a statement of the problem or research questions must be derived from a theory. So, ang sabi niya dito, accurately measures the theoretical constructs or concepts it claims to measure. Example, if you are developing a survey to measure leadership style, you might conduct factor analysis to confirm that items intended to measure different leadership styles, such as transformational or transactional, are load onto separate factors. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga tanong mo tungkol sa transformational at transactional leadership ay magkaiba. Hindi sila pwedeng magsama. So, dapat yung constructs na ito, transformational, ang tanong lang niya ay tungkol sa transformational. Ganon din naman sa transactional. Let's have another example. So, kunyari, you want to make a survey on measuring the math ability of your students. You are going to develop your own instrument. So this is mathematical ability in elementary school. It includes skills such as basic arithmetic, problem solving, and understanding of mathematical concepts. So itong tatlong concept na to ang kailangang i-measure ng math ability. Basic arithmetic, problem solving, and understanding. Magbigay tayo ng theoretical definition muna ng mathematical ability. Ang ibig sabihin ng mathematical ability sa konteksto ng iyong research ay yung proficiency in performing arithmetic operations, that's one, solving math problems, and grasping mathematical concepts. Nag-create ka na ngayon ng test. Kunyari, eto yung test mo. What is 4 plus 5? Another test, solve for x. 2x plus 37 is equals to 7. And then, which shape has 3 sides? So, itong tatlong tanong mo, na i-cover niya yung arithmetic operations, yung solving math problems, at yung grasping mathematical concepts. Maggawa tayo ng hypothesis. Sabi mo sa hypothesis 1 mo, students who score higher on math tests will also perform better on their math homework and quizzes, as their test scores reflect their overall math ability. Ang hypothesis 2 mo, the test scores will predict students' future performance in math-related tasks such as solving word problems or understanding new math concepts. Ngayon, tignan natin, magkaroon tayo ng empirical testing base sa iyong test at sa iyong hypothesis. Nag-administer ka na ngayon ng math test sa grupo ng mga elementary students tapos kinuha mo yung mga scores nila. And then you also gather data on their math homework grades and their performance on subsequent math quizzes. Nagkaroon ka na ng analysis after knowing all of this data. Meron ka ng test scores, meron ka ng math homework grades, meron ka ding performance sila sa mga math quizzes nila. In-analyze mo yung data kung merong positive correlation between yung scores nila sa binigay mo at ginawa mong math test sa kanilang students' homework grade at saka sa quiz. So, tatlo yun. Yung ginawa mong test, yung kanilang homework grades, tsaka yung quiz score nila. Kung ang score ng estudyante ay higher sa math test, it also tend to perform better on homework and quizzes. So, kapag ganun yung nangyari, it support your hypothesis 1, that if their test scores predict future performance. At sinusupport din nila yung hypothesis 2 mo. It suggests that your math test has a construct validity. It accurately measures students' mathematical ability. So, yung ginawa mo na math test na binanggit natin kaninang what is 4 plus 5, solve for 2x plus 3 equals 7, at which shape has 3 sides, it passed the construct validity because it tries to measure what it needs to measure. The third one is what we call criterion validity. So, pag sinabi naman natin criterion validity, it compares the results of the survey instrument that you have made with an external criterion or yung tinatawag nating gold standard that measures the same construct. So, gagawa ka ng sarili mong survey instrument, tapos meron ng existing, which is standardized. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, meron ng mga ginagamit at kapareho nung sayo, doon natin ngayon i-compare yung ginawa mong survey instrument. Example, to establish criterion validity for survey measuring anxiety levels, gumawa ka ng sayo, you might compare participant scores on your survey with scores from clinically validated anxiety scale. So, meron kang sarili, tapos meron ka pa rin gagamitin na standardized instrument na. High correlations between the two measures would indicate strong criterion validity. So, after ng statistical tool na ginamit mo, nakita mo na yung pinagamit mong survey instrument at yung pinagamit mo rin na validated na anxiety scale ay halos magkapareho ng criterion validity. So, if that will be the case, so it means your survey instrument passed the what we called criterion validity. Meron tayong dalawang klase nito. Ang isa ay tinatawag natin concurrent validity. So, pag sinabi natin concurrent validity, imagine, kunyari, you have developed a new depression screening questionnaire. So, gumawa ka ng sarili mong questionnaire to measure depression na ginagamit sa clinical settings. Para ma-establish mo yung concurrent validity, i-administer mo yung questionnaire na ginawa mo sa isang grupo ng mga pasyente na currently na-diagnose with depression. Tapos, i-compare mo yung scores nila sa established measure of depression severity. Such as example, ang ginagamit para ma-measure yung depression is yung Beck Depression Inventory. So, yung sa'yo, gagamitin mo as a new depression screening questionnaire. Tapos, gagamitin mo rin yung criterion measure na yung BDI na widely accepted. So, sa data collection mo, administer mo yung dalawa na instrument. Yung ginawa mo, tsaka yung standardized, yung BDI. So, mag-sample ka sa mga diagnosed patients with depression. I-analyze mo ngayon after mo mai-conduct. Calculate mo yung correlation nila, yung scores nila from your questionnaire, tsaka yung scores nila dun sa BDI. Kapag ang naging result is a strong positive correlation, it would indicate high concurrent validity. Ibig sabihin, yung ginawa mong questionnaire effectively measures depression severity similar to the standardized instrument which is BDI. Ang second type naman ng criterion validity ay predictive validity. Example, gusto mong gumawa ng questionnaire para ma-predict ang academic performance. Naggawa ka ng admission test for a university para ma-assess mo yung incoming freshman students, yung potential nila for academic success. So, mga first year students sila. Nagawa ka ng admission test, yung result nun gusto mong gamitin para ma-predict mo yung academic success nito mga freshman students. Para ma-establish mo yung predictive validity, i-assess mo yung scores ng kanilang admission test para ma-predict mo yung kanilang performance during their first year of study. So, anong gagamitin mong measurement tool? Yung ginawa mong admission test. I-design mo para ma-measure yung kanilang cognitive ability, yung kanilang critical thinking skills, at yung kanilang academic potential. Ano naman ang gagawin mong criterion measure? Yung kanilang first year grade point average. Binigyan mo sila ng exam para ma-admit sila sa university, yung score nila, measure mo, tinignan mo kung makakapag-predict yun ng kanilang performance. Tapos, ang gagamitin mong measurement, kung malaman mo yung criterion measure mo, yung iyong predictive validity, after nila ng 1 year na napasok sa university, tignan mo yung kanilang first grade point average. So, to be specific, ito yung procedure. So, sa admission process, nag-administer ka ng test na ginawa mo sa lahat ng mga incoming students applying to the university. Sa collection ng data mo, you collect data on the scores obtained by each student dun sa kanilang admission test at yung kanilang corresponding first year grade point average. So, natapos na kasi tapos sa kunyari sila at kinuha mo na yung kanilang first year grade point average. Sa analysis mo, i-calculate mo ngayon yung correlation between your student scores do sa ginawa mong admission test at saka yung kanilang first year grade point average. Pag lumabas na mataas yung kanilang positive correlation, ini-indicate nito na merong high predictive validity ang iyong survey instrument. Students who score higher on the admission test tends to achieve higher GPAs in their first year of study. So, ito yung meaning nito. So, kung mataas ang score nila dun sa kanilang admission test, may tendency na mataas din ang kanilang GPA sa kanilang first year of study. So, those are the two types. You have the concurrent validity and the predictive validity. That ends our lesson video on the validation of your research instrument. I hope that this video helped you para makapag-pursue na kayo sa validation ng inyong research instrument, whether it is content, construct, or criterion validation or validity. So always remember, please like, share, and subscribe our YouTube channel para updated ka sa mga lesson videos. Lahat ng hindi pa nakakapag-subscribe at nanonood sa ating channel, you are welcome to subscribe and learn, okay, from the lesson videos that we have here. You can also share it with others who really need it badly, specifically if the topic is validation of your research instrument. Always remember, we unlock insights to empower your minds. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you on our next lesson video.